Welcome everyone to session 1 of our campaign Broken Expanse, which takes place in the campaign's the RPG setting Stars Without Number. Now, you all saw the intro, so you know what happened in session 0 when we were playing with the game. And we're going to take off with some character introductions and such during this first session. This first session takes place immediately after they are released from the hospital and get directions towards the embassy that Sang-Soo, one of the dignitaries they rescued from the crash, offered them housing in. He said, I owe you a life debt, I'll pay the hospital bills, you know, whatever. They got visited by an insurance agent from the ship, from Santiago's ship that came and told them that the ship was not covered for whatever reason and they weren't entitled to any of the money. So they're unemployed, broke, homeless, and they got to figure stuff out. But let's describe this world a little bit. They are on the world of Szhige-Dosht, and it is in the sector... I didn't even have to look that up. Well. It is in the sector of Simopoulos, which is in the center of trade in the sector, Asgard Omega sector, which you will see as we pan the map. This world, it has a molten iron core. And because of that, it's created a weird magnetic field around the planet that has lifted large platforms of land above its surface, which is good because this molten core emits a gas that is toxic for humans. Like, the only way you can go down there is if you have a hazard suit on. And these continent island things are attached to one another with these giant, thick metal cables, so that there could be some semblance of society. There are 7 floating masses on this planet alone, and that means 7 different cities or facilities, and they are all controlled by the government that's present on this world, which is the Shje-Guy-Dosht Council. You guys, as you were coming down in your ship, came out of the drill space pretty close to the planet, which is very dangerous. And you did so because some bombs went off in the ship and you really had no choice. As the ship came out of drill space and started heading to the planets, you guys had to evacuate, and you got all the dignitaries off alive, most of the crew, and everybody evacuated in escape pods. Unfortunately, because you chose to be the last escape pods to go, you were too close to one of the continental platforms, and your escape pod smashed into them, injuring Ronan badly and hurting a few others. But you saved Sang's daughter from Ronan's escape pod, and that's why Sang not only owes you a life debt, but he considers you very strong allies. And you know that he is the CEO of the organization, the Amber Foundation. And they're a post-tech industrial manufacturing that does weapons, appliances, you know, they're the ones bringing people back from the screen. So, the scene opens up in one of the platform cities that you are on, and you guys are walking down an asphalted street in the middle of a market. You were given directions to the embassy, and you have to go through the market to get there. They've basically surrounded the embassy with markets. The police force is definitely well armed on this planet, and they're because they're afraid of corporate secrets leaking out, they're very tight on security. So there's a lot of checkpoints where you have to give them your information. But what you do notice is it seems like around the embassies, the civilians have set up markets where checkpoints can no longer be established, which allows the free flow of citizens to the political buildings. So it's a very interesting dynamic. I want you guys first to describe your characters walking into the market. And before we do that, I need to know what the market looks like. I want each player to give me something they notice about the market, whether it's an event happening, something physically. I want you to think of your senses: sight, taste, smell, hearing, and touch, right? Describe one thing about one of your senses to me. We're going to start with Francisco Jose de la Cruz, the nephew of Santiago Rivera Pena Jose de la Cruz, who went down with his ship. What's one thing you notice?
Walking into the market, Francisco notices this very... the market just has a lot of different smells from all the food vendors mixed in with all the regular goods vendors, but also that there's very distinct undertone of, if you live in like the LA area or something, you would kind of get it. It's that familiar sense that like the air isn't clean even if it doesn't smell like anything.
Right. I like that. So the air here is not clean. It's got a variety of smells to it. That's what you're saying, right?
Yep.
Perfectly. So let's say it's a little hard to breathe, almost like a humidity effect. Like it's super humid and you guys are just like... The best way I could explain it is when you go into an office store, like a Xerox place, and you go to get your stuff printed or whatever, and you smell the lamination. That like hot, humid plastic smell is what you guys smell in this market. All right. Next up, we're going to skip over to Ronan.
Nah. No. Currently, as we're walking, while the market is bustling with a lot of people, there's a few of the market owners pretty much, it's a lot of yelling here and there, trying to sell their product and stuff like that. And they're not so much as like super pushy, but they do try to throw things in your face like, hey, buy this, buy this, buy this, and stuff like that. But they're speaking in a Russian dialect, so it's a little hard for us to understand as we're trying to push through to get to the political building.
Yeah, and I think maybe some of them notice that, and they'll go, "Oh, offholders, hey!" Yeah, I love that. Okay, awesome. Leo.
So, one thing Leo knows is that when he's walking through, he notices that most of the owners are, as Ronan described them, kind of out in your face and, trying to sell their product. But there's some of the other vendors that they look to be a little bit more finer dressed, a little bit better upkept. And they're a little bit further back from the main road, and a lot of them aren't. It's not hostile, but they're watching you. They're watching any of the, directly looking at us because they can recognize that we're the new guys in the area. So they're kind of eyeing us, and you can almost sense some tension there.
I think they're not the only ones eyeing. They might be giving you a tension type stare, but a lot of people are looking at you because Ronan. You guys wanted to leave the hospital so quickly that when you were given back your clothes in a plastic bag, you guys just left. You are still wearing a hospital gown with your ass bare to the public. So, and none of your crewmates think that's weird. That's the funniest thing. You guys just were like, "Let's go," and you Wizard of Oz your way out of the hospital. You're like, "We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz."
It's another Tuesday with Ronan.
Ronan.
It sounds exactly like something Ronan would do on a weekly basis.
He's that guy who's standing there. No.
Sleeps with consular's daughters, runs around naked all the time.
I mean, they're willing.
All right. I like that. So there's some vendors that, they're all business. If you have business with them, you know it. So let's go over to Al-Ashrad. What's one thing you notice?
I noticed, like when we came into the city, that the market is strategic. It's not just a mix mash of this stall and that stall. It's like they planned out who goes where ahead of time, and then it wasn't just a bunch of slapdash kiosks. These are actual merchants with permanent positions by now.
So there's actually sections, like an armory section, a weapons section, a medical section.
They've mapped it all out so that there's an actual layout to this place, which suggests maybe somebody's in charge.
I think that's fair. Like maybe there's a merchant's guild.
More than likely a
I
unit
think
or
we
something.
just made a new faction. All right, so I will do that faction generation in my own time.
Okay.
That being said, let's open the scene. You guys are crossing a roadblock into the market, heading towards the embassy. Go.
So, what do we do now?
Describe, let's do an intro real quick, guys. So, Francisco, when you ask that question, what does your character look like? What is he doing? Give our audience a taste of who Francisco Jose de la Cruz is. And we'll go around the table and do that.
Francisco Jose de la Cruz is kind of a very average-looking man with a very not-so-average upbringing. And so he came from a very devoutly Catholic world family, so he's dressed rather modestly. But the ornamentation around that modesty is very elegant and very ornate. So he has very simple robes, but you can tell they're finely made. The stitching is
I
just
like
perfect. And and there's no weird seams. There's no everything seems.
It's
to be
kind of
very
like when you
finely.
think of like a Jedi robe. Like they all tend to look pretty modest. Not a whole lot of bright colors. They're not capes. They're not, but they are finely made.
And he has this kind of cream robe with a brown tunic underneath. And he has a kind of on his side. He has a little satchel with his ornamental face mask that's all just hanging off on there. And he has a walking stick with him, I don't know if he actually has it anymore after the crash, but
No,
yeah,
it's
I
back in
figured.
the ship. Also, your mask. Why don't you describe that to us? Because I'm thinking Bane, but it's not Bane, is it?
No, it's not.
So what does it look like?
I mean, it's kind of it's almost like this weird mix of like an Egyptian death mask with none of the ornamentation behind it. It basically looks like it has that similar shape and facial structure, but it has eye holes instead of just actually painted on eyes, and it does not have like the signature mustache slash beard on the bottom.
So it's almost like Kylo Ren's mask without detail. It's just like a faceplate, but still kind of looks like a face, right?
Yeah, it has like a very distinct like nose, and it has ridges around the eyes. But other than that, it's pretty featureless, and it actually looks like almost as if it's been like wrapped around. That's how kind of the designs are made, as though like the material was wrapped around it. But it's just how it's ornamentally designed.
Like it was paper mache and then painted brown. It almost sounds like those. I don't know if anybody's played Assassin's Creed Origins out there, but the masks that they wear in the beginning. When
That's what I was kind of thinking of.
Oh, perfect. All right, they're that.
Yeah, we've both been playing that a lot, so I get you.
Oh, playing it? Ha ha ha! You're hilarious. I haven't been able to play it much.
Oh shit! I'm sorry.
My graphics drivers for the 1080 aren't liking it, so I have to wait for a patch or figure some out, and I'm not the only one suffering. But that's okay. On to the game. So that's what you look like. What is your mannerism while you're walking? And like, did you just notice? Oh shit! I don't have my stick. And ask the question in character, and then we'll move on to whoever wants to respond. Describe your character and what he's doing, and then you can respond verbally.
So Francisco is kind of, he's moving in a very measured kind of, he has a very determined gait. He doesn't, and he's not really slouching. He has very proper form to him in the way he walks and the way he conducts himself through a crowd. But he does kind of like instinctively like go to lean on what is usually his walking stick, and he just kind of remembers, oh, I don't have anything with me. And it's at that point, after he gets distracted by a wine merchant, that he turns around and says, well, what do we do now?
Yeah, the wine merchant steps out to you and he's like, the finest in the nearest sectors, all delivered on a regular shipment. Quick, quick, try the fine wines of Nemertes. You, sir, with the mask, come over here. And then you kind of turn around the group. What do we do now? I like that.
I'll go. Al-Ashrad was born and raised on a subterranean mining colony. So he's Arabic in ethnicity, but he's one of those pale Arabic. So he's practically white, but very chiseled features. He has used lime to spike his hair backwards. So it's kind of got this dark ring where the roots are, and then it fades into a pale yellow as it spikes backwards. And he's wearing a military-esque one-piece suit. And he's got a pair of kukri-style monoblades crossed at the small of his back, because he did have those when he was on duty. When he walks, it's more of almost a dancing glide. It's like he can't hold still. He has to be constantly moving. And if he does hold still, he practically disappears. So he's one of those people where if you don't pay attention, it's like, where the hell did he go?
So basically, what you're telling me is that you Commissioner Gordon people.
Pretty much.
I don't know if you guys have seen Batman, but when Commissioner Gordon's talking, he's like, and by the way, I hate it when he does that.
Pretty much. And he'd be walking at least 2 or 3 steps ahead of the group, kind of like driving a wedge through the crowd. He's very stoic, very upright. It's like he's very together, but right now he's in full paranoid mode, so he's just looking for any threats before they get to it.
Okay, if that's the case, as you walk, I'm going to say that you're very aware of the conversation going on between the three of them. Almost like a driver in a car who can talk with the people without turning and looking back at them.
So he'd literally respond without looking back. Our first order of business should be getting a foothold to step out of this place.
Yeah, and I think as you say out of this place, you look over. None of the merchants are approaching you. You almost just blend in too well with the crowd. But the richer merchants who are in the back that have actual, like, armored stalls with locks, maybe a couple mercenary guards, they're eyeing you with great suspicion.
Because he's not walking like a merchant or a civilian. He's very obviously...
Well, you're marching through a market with a purpose.
Yeah.
It's like if somebody sits there... I mean, that would even be weird in a fair setting. Where, like, some guy's like, there's a Ferris wheel. I'm going to go on that Ferris wheel. And he's walking across the fair with purpose. The families who are just dawdling are going to be like, oh, hey, sorry, sir. You know, they're going to notice. I think that's how you're driving the wedge. A lady with a jar on her head sees you, and she kind of just diverts, trying not to spill the jar. And there's some people... You actually notice that pickpocketing may definitely be a problem in the market. Because you see people getting their hand ready when they look at you, and then they decide... No. So, yeah. I like that. All right. Let's hear from Leo. Al-Ashrad just suggested getting a foothold.
So Leo's very tall. He's got kind of long, wavy hair. Since it's been 5-6 days, he's got a full stubble beard going on, which he's fully comfortable with. That's usually his style. So he usually, in fact, never shaves, but recently has shaved for the first time in a long time. He slouches when he walks, so he's very tall, but he's got that kind of tall man's slouch going on. So he kind of weighs himself down. Very thin. He likes machines more than he likes men, minus most of the present company. He does particularly like Ronan. Him and Ronan seem to have
is that specific to men, or is that women as well? Because you said you like machines more than men, so women you like more than machines.
Well, right? Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. I like that because that means that as a narrator, if there's a pretty girl, I might direct it towards Leo's attention. Because if he looks at a machine and geeks out, just think about what he does if he sees a cute girl.
And he's kind of like a tinkerer with machines as well. So not only is he the kind of the pilot or de facto pilot usually, whether they like it or not, that's kind of what he wants to do. He's a very big tinkerer, so he's always got a lot of machines and parts and things he's working on, and a couple secretive kind of projects he always kind of keeps.
So do you have a belt that you just have like random cables and shit hanging off of?
So my other part of my appearance is the outfit I'm wearing. So because we came from a party,
that's right. Yes,
so
I forgot about this.
So because we came from a party and then all this shitstorm happened, he was wearing his only fine piece of clothing, which is now in tatters and not fine anymore. But think of more like a Victorian style suit. So he's kind of got the poofy around the neck and the poofy around the.
Oh no, you're talking about Elizabethan suit, right? Like the Shakespearean.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, exactly. Big poofy chest. But now, like I said, the big poofy chest and all the other kind of poofy parts were all white. Now they're kind of like a dingy, marked with soot and stuff like that, blood, things like that. And it wasn't apparent before, but what's apparent now is that even though he had this suit on, he went to this fancy party, under the suit, which he now has unbuckled or unbuttoned and everything, is still his utility belt that he would always carry with him, with minor tools and parts and various different little knick-knack kind of things that he found to be useful to have on him at all times. So
now remember, there's also something else. Blood.
Right.
Because of the accidents with the escape pod and you helping all the people.
Yeah. So there's lots of
running down and stuff.
Spatters of blood on his outfit. You don't see it much on all the rest of it because the rest of it's just a classic black, or was kind of classic black. But definitely on all the white parts you can see that.
Excellent. And now we're gonna go over to Ronan. Oh, I'm sorry, Max. You described your character's look, but you didn't describe what you're doing. I apologize.
So he's kind of fallen back away from the group. He tends to not be. Obviously, he's not the one in the front, and he's not the one to kind of mingle because he doesn't really get along with people very well. But he gets along with these guys fairly well. But he still kind of stays a little bit further back, kind of lingers, kind of watches everything that's kind of going on around him. Mainly, he's ironically looking at all the technology as he walks by, so he kind of gets distracted as he goes. That's why he kind of gets further and further away from the group.
Yeah, he stops by stalls. Here's the funny thing. No one approaches you. None of the salesmen. In fact, if we were to look at your formation, in the front, Alishrad is getting this wedge of people to walk around you guys. Ronan and Francisco are walking side by side, and lagging behind is Leo. Now, normally, crowds will fill back in right behind the group, but when they see Leo covered in blood and he's looking at items in the stalls, the merchants and the people give a wide berth. It's definitely not rare to see somebody walking through with blood on their shirt. It's just not common, and it's a little weird. So yeah, excellent. Ronan, what are you? I assume you're walking next to Francisco, right?
Yeah. For the audience, my character Ronan looks like Max Payne, or not Max Payne, sorry. Max Payne. Mad Max from the video game. So I have a beard kind of going. It's very scraggly, not very well kept. Black hair. I'm wearing a hospital gown and carrying my bag of clothes, which are all bloodied and stuff, so I'm probably going to have to throw those away. I have my boots on and my holster.
That's
too,
actually, if you remember, that's why you decided not to get in them. You looked at him and you were like, ugh.
But I do have my boots and my holster with no gun since they took my weapons since I was in the hospital. So I have to go get those back.
That's right. Your guns, only your guns. Your guns have been entered into the law enforcement. They'll give it to you when you leave the planet, but while you're on the planet, you don't get to keep them.
Yeah, which sucks. Yeah, and I pretty much am walking next to Francisco, looking around, and as he asked the question, Shad says that, says his reply. I just kind of look over at him and, well, we get to sue, and maybe we'll get some work, and I can maybe get some clothes. People are starting to stare.
At this moment, Francisco finally stops and looks at all four of us and realizes, yeah, there's probably a good reason that everybody's staring.
Yeah, you look like a freak show.
Yeah, and I just say, yeah, we could all maybe use some clothes, some more than others, and I just kind of keep walking, not looking at Ronan.
Sorry, fancy robes.
I'm just saying, you're the one with your ass out.
The funny thing is Ronan. We rolled a 3d6 for hotness, and Ronan is actually really attractive. So, some of the girls there are like, this is a weird... Ooh, look at that butt. Some of the men are even like,
Well, when he
So it's not a horrifying scene. It's not like Carl from freaking Aqua Teen Hunger Force is walking through with his ass hanging out, so...
Well, when I hear him say we can go to Sue for a job, he'll stop, let them catch up, and be like, do we ask where that is, or do we just keep walking until we find it?
I say we keep walking till we find it. I'd rather not draw too much attention on this place.
Where's Leo? Just all of a sudden, we're looking around.
Leo, you found something amazing at this junk stall. What is it?
It's a tool that I know to be worth a little bit more than the average tool. It's, I don't know, some sort of special tool that you would use, or somebody in my profession would recognize as being kind of like the top grade tool, but that somebody has it in their equivalent to a dollar bin. And so I'm kind of rummaging through my pockets to see if I have any money to buy it.
Okay, we'll say the tool is a radioactive pen that can change paint colors. Like, you hit a light and it shines it out. You choose what color you want the paint to be, and you hit it with it, and it changes the color of the paint.
Sounds good. So I bring the tool over to the vendor and ask him how much it is.
Oh, that stupid thing! 10 credits.
I don't think I can do 10 credits. How about 5?
You trying to rob me here?
Just trying to get a good deal.
Listen. 10 credits, good deal. I don't want it. But I'm not going to sell it. I guarantee you, I paid more than 5 credits for that.
Okay, 8 credits it is.
I think you should leave, Mr. Bloody Pants.
So I take the pen and I point it at the blood on my pants to change the color to white. Because weren't you saying it can change the color of things?
Of paint? Okay.
But it's pigment. It would be pigment, I would think. That would be the thing it does is changes the pigment of it.
Okay. You know what? Roll me a luck save.
Okay.
Because it's not really designed for that, but that is a brilliant idea.
Hope you don't want any kids.
You failed. So, I need you to roll me something.
Okay.
I need you to roll me choose a number on a 1d4 and then roll me that d4.
Let's do 3.
This is something I'm doing. This isn't actually part of the rules. Okay, nothing bad happens. It actually does lighten it, but now it looks like brown dry blood. All you did was cook it in there.
You're right.
The guy
it
goes,
do it.
Yeah,
I
he
was
goes,
gonna say you're right. It is garbage. You know, it doesn't actually work. So I don't know why you're selling shoddy things. And so I just throw it back in the bin.
Are you trying to barter with him still?
I'm using that as a bartering tactic. So
Then roll me a barter.
All right.
And I'm going to give you a +1 modifier because of how well you did that.
Okay. And there isn't a barter that I'm seeing. So what do I want to roll?
I think
there?
it starts with an E, I think.
Would that be persuasion?
You could persuade.
Business?
Business. Thank you. It's a B.
Oh, okay.
Business
right,
or persuade.
And you said you led with it?
Are you guys like in freaking London and the Luftwaffe are bombing you? Like, what the hell is that noise? Just like a bunch of Ju-88s start flying overhead. Oh, don't worry, it happens every night.
That was actually mine. It does happen every night. It's a dickhead speeder around here.
A speeder? Fucking Luke Skywalker drives by with C-3PO. You're like, you son of a bitch, I'm streaming.
He would probably call it a motorcycle, but I call it a speeder because it's freaking rice.
You're sitting there shaking your fist at it. Your neighbor comes out. It's a Sand Raider, and he's like, and that's how they get up to him. All right, sorry.
While he's bothering, I'm gonna look at the other two and be like, if I go get him, he's gonna run. So.
Well, I want to see this roll.
So, are we doing charisma with that? I would think.
Well, you could choose charisma or intelligence. I think intelligence is outwitting him, but charisma is using your.
I think I'll use
personality.
Charisma. And then, am I adding anything assistant
You're adding
to it?
one.
One. Okay, I
Because
couldn't remember.
that was good role playing. Oh my god. He goes, it's broke. You're right. I do not want people to think that I steal broken equipment. You take.
Okay. So I take it and kind of.
Get out of here before I change my mind that half my guards destroy you.
Okay. So I put it in my utility belt. Very pleased with myself.
Congrats, that was amazing. A 12? You rolled a 6 and a 4, my friend. That was an amazing skill check. So, there is, if you look at his chest as he's approaching, the top part's, you know, kind of dry blood. It's dark, brown. The bottom part's a brown. But right in the middle is like a black-brown of burned blood on his shirt. Just a strip of it.
So I kind of saunter my way back over to the group.
Saunter?
Notice.
You're like,
Like that.
Exactly.
You know how you say normally you slouch? I think your saunter would be you standing erect. And maybe that's one of the few times they realize how freakishly tall you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you do that, your pants lift up. So now it looks like you have high waters.
Perfect. So
what happened?
I just happened to pick up this baby, and I'm twiddling it through between my fingers and drop it. So I pick it up.
Did that thing make you look like you shit yourself in the middle of your shirt?
That, my friend, is called bartering.
Rhoda just looks and goes, yeah.
This is why I don't barter with anybody.
Alistrad's just gonna just blank face, no expression, just turn around and keep walking.
Let's go. Come on.
You guys continue on for about 10 minutes, and you see this stone wall in the middle of the market that has these arches. And the arches each have flags on them from different worlds or different organizations with mercenaries, bodyguards, or soldiers from each organization in front of the arches. And it looks like there might be 50 or 60 of these doors around this entire plaza. So all the embassies are built together, wall to wall to wall. Outside fence or wall is a square with guards for each one of them around. This also looks to be the place where there are a handful of police from the planet, but not enough of them can get through to reinforce because of the market. It also looks like these cops, as you're walking through the crowd, you see like one of the merchants walk up to one of the cops of Shje-Guy-Dosht and motions him over, and then they go over. A few words are exchanged, and you do see like the merchant dropping a few credit sticks into the officer's hands, and then the officer folds his hands behind his back and walks away.
Well, Francisco's the one with the card. So that's our
business
only
card.
again.
Yeah, the business card has his logo, so you could just go ask somebody like, where is this?
He said walk until we find it, so that's all he's going to do. He's going to keep looking up and figure out which one is which.
Yeah, it doesn't... I think about 10 more minutes of walking and you guys find the symbol. You see that there's children playing around the embassies because it's the only place clear of foot traffic. Some of them are playing with like little remote control drones, and some of them are playing laser tag with infrared lasers. And
when they find it, he'll just stop and stand there until the rest of them get caught up.
yeah, they're following you. There's nothing here that would attract Leo's attention. Maybe the drone as it flew by, he's like, neat.
Yeah.
The kids are like, I wish it was white. He's like, ha ha, no. Yeah, so you guys find it, and there's a few pretty well armed guards. I'd say if you want to look at their body armor and get an idea of what it looks like, if you're a fan of Warhammer 40k, it looks like the Cadian Imperial Guard troops. If you're a fan of Halo, it looks like your average troopers guard suit, not the drop teams, but the average troopers. So like a combat flak jacket, metal knee pads, metal bracers, and they have a really sturdy Rebel Commando from Return of the Jedi looking helmet.
There we go.
As you, who approaches them? The group?
I will approach them.
Yeah, I was gonna turn to you and be like,
Let's say that everybody just kind of stares at him for a moment, and he's like, fuck.
It's like, well, I guess I'm the one that has the card.
Yeah, you
So
walk up to him. Both guards take a step to the side and block the entrance, and they're like, "State your business." And these are people who are of an Asian or Oriental culture.
My name is Francisco Jose de la Cruz, and I'm here to see Sang-Soo.
And do you have an appointment?
No, we were with the ship that just crashed.
I don't know anything about that. Without an appointment, you can't get in.
Would you be able to contact your superiors, see if they called ahead at all?
No.
kind of walk up behind him.
They're narrowing their eyes.
Well, he gave me this card.
Oh,
And
yeah, that's the appointment. What are you playing at? And they grab the card and they look at it. They see a signature and the time. Are you here to waste our time?
No, I apologize. No.
And then the second one looks over and goes, "You'll waste our time. This goes real fast if you cooperate." And then the other guy's like, "I got it. It's fine. We are on a tight schedule. As you know, he was in an accident, and we're trying to keep that quiet. So our advice to you is don't go around and start talking about the ship that was just in an accident. Capiche?" "Yeah,"
Understood.
the other guy nods. He goes, "And you need to be careful. You need to dress more like other people. You all look weird."
I look at myself, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I look fine.
"You look like you spill raw steak all over the shirt."
Gentlemen, please, can we just get to our appointment? We haven't had
The guy
time
holds
to
his
change
hand
since
up.
the incident.
"You know what? We'll have a tailor come up to you immediately. We'll call him up. It's somebody we trust, and he works fast. If you go in there and speak to the secretary, she'll go ahead and give you the room location."
Thank you. Sorry for wasting your time.
"Sir." He grabs your arm. "It's a tragedy about your uncle." And then looks forward and assumes his post, releasing your arm.
The
I
moment the
don't
other
look at
guy
it, but I just
grabbed,
kind of look. Oh.
the moment the other guy grabbed his arm, one of his hands went back for a knife handle until he released it. In which case, you let go.
Yeah, and you notice too, his assault rifle's pointed at the standard, like, non-hostile 45 degree, but still a good reason why, that's good reflexes. I think as you did that, the other guard reached for his sidearm as he's looking at you. So for a brief moment, there's this awkward silence, and then that's when he goes, "Your uncle," and tells you that.
I don't look at him, but I just kind of lean my head, or I kind of kink my head towards him, and I say, "Thank you, I appreciate it," and I keep walking forward.
Yeah, and you guys open the door, and the room is very utilitarian. It seems like all these embassies were kind of built the same, but there are pictures from their planet. And a lot of the pictures are pictures of ships that are up in space, where the model of the ship is painted in Japanese, or Chinese Mandarin lettering. Kanji. Is kanji Japanese or is it Chinese? I don't remember.
I think kanji's Japanese.
Kanji's Japanese.
The Chinese version of that.
Ideograms.
So, you see, like, the names painted on it. The place is pretty well kept after. There's not a whole lot of guards walking around. But there's a lot of people buzzing around the offices. They were expecting his arrival, so it seems like it's business time for them. And in front of you is a desk that is shaped like a horseshoe. And there is a very, very attractive woman sitting at the desk. And she is a blonde, green eyes, pale skin, perfect complexion.
Ronan is going to elbow Leo and be like, eh?
Yeah, Leo, you and Ronan are like, it's like a college, like you guys are the college frat brothers. You're like, whoa, check out that slam piece at the desk there.
Francisco knows that they're probably already doing this behind them, so he just holds up his hand like he's gonna slap them.
I give him a high five. I give him a high five.
Does both their heads.
Oh yeah, you guys get slapped in the head. So she's waving at Francisco because it looks like he's like doing the Nazi wave, and then like as you smack the guys in the back, she goes, ha ha ha, and it's the most musical laugh ever. Like it hits perfect notes.
I very quickly turned towards. I got this. Just relax.
All right, you need any help? Right here.
Shut up.
The guy in the bloody suit and the guy in the hospital gown are nodding their heads, yes.
I approach the desk of the secretary and I say, Senora, I have an appointment. And I hand her the card.
She reaches over for a data pad, but you see this. Thank you. I will need that data card. She takes it from you, and then she inserts it into the computer and gives a green light. Let me print you a receipt, sir. Is there anything else I can do for you?
No, thank you. I just kind of look at them too and just shake my head.
She tears the receipt off and she hands it to you. Our live personnel will be with you momentarily. And I think you realize that when she says live, she's meaning like people.
Well, damn.
What do you mean, well, damn? That's your perfect alibi. She's a machine and a girl.
Don't count her out yet. Don't count her out
Leo.
yet.
Yeah, when Leo says this, what's Ronan's response?
Ronan just looks at him and goes, God, you need to get laid.
Al-Ashrad, do you look at him too when he says that?
He's just kind of just folding his arms, trying not to close his eyes, and just...
So it almost looks like a face slap without the hand. You're just like...
Pretty much. It's exactly what it is. It's save me.
Yeah, Leo, nice. Leo, why don't you roll me a luck save? So, you give her the look, right? You're like, yeah, don't count her out yet. And she looks at you and goes, have a nice day. And then just dismissively goes back to work. And doesn't even notice it at all.
Holy shit, Leo. You can't even get a computer to do you.
Give me 10 minutes alone with her and she will.
Isn't that cheating?
Isn't that
Leo,
fast?
I say, Leo, I don't think the robot assistant can consent.
Ronan just...
I turn to Ronan and I say he needs to get laid.
Well, I've been saying.
So it doesn't take you guys long to get to the elevator, which leads you up to the 16th floor, and that's where you find your room. And it's all windows, but you can go to a pad and hit a button, and some automated shades will come down. There's 5 different layers of this automated shade, so you could block out the green light that is radiating off the surface of this planet, and it only shows the beautiful skies. In the middle of the day, the green isn't so bad, but at night, it's almost like when there's just a glow down there that's really unnerving.
I think as paranoid as Alistrad is at this moment, he'll set all of them except one to the darkest, and then leave one at the second to darkest, so they can still see out.
Actually, it doesn't matter. You can see out perfectly. All it does is filter bright lights. So you can still see, like, cars driving by, but if they turn, their headlights don't shine into the room. It's kind of like a tinted window on steroids. All right. It does make it hard to see in the building, though. You'll need lights on.
That's the main thing. He'll just...
Well, I mean, you could turn on a light, and no one outside will know you have a light on, because it's kind of like a tinted window. They can't see inside. So there's lights in here if you want to turn them on.
I mean,
So once you come in, because this is an embassy, the dining room is more of a small conference room. It's got like 8 chairs around it. And then there's an office with an internet, like a connection to the communications of this planet. And there's a living room with an L-shaped segmented couch, and 4 bedrooms. And the kitchen is the only really tiny part about this place. It's almost like a break room kitchen.
Gonna approach Leo and kind of nudge him towards the office, the business office, and kind of under his breath, can you get a hold of the news feeds? Any information?
Yeah. So I just go over there and
Well,
Actually, I will say in the living room there is a TV.
yeah, well, he's wanting, because he's remembering, and he's going to actually say it, that he's following Leo. He's going to be like, Sue said something, or I can't remember if it was the agent who said something about check the data feed about...
It was Sue, yeah. He said
about
check.
Francisco's planet.
Okay, I'll so
You know what?
guess I'll turn
Before
on
we
the
do that,
TV.
that's actually a really good point, but that's going to make an excellent opener for our next part. So we're going to end part 1 here, and we'll be back in a few minutes for part 2. Bye-bye!